coming. You guys are masters of daylight savings. Like those who are not here, but maybe they're just not meant to hear what we're going to be talking about today. So everything happens for a reason, you never know. Just real quick, I want to get the rundown for those of you that have heard about Lost but kind of think it might be this like reality show. Basically, it's not a reality show. Well, it's sort of a reality show, as you're going to discover tonight. But they give us little clues. If you're just watching the show, you're only getting half the experience. It's kind of like going to Rocky Horror and being like, I didn't really understand what the big deal of the movie is if you like watching on video. But back in the days when you watch Rocky Horror with audience participation, it's a great movie. But without it, you're kind of missing half the story, and that's what Lost really is. There's other clues as well. The characters in the story there are reading. You see them reading books on the show. They're reading books that have something to do with what's going on. It's almost like the writers are saying, okay, we know that this show is absolutely crazy, but look, there's this book that kind of talked about it before, so, and there's this book, and there's this book. And Lost is sort of a cornucopia of mythological goodness. It is just, the show itself is unbelievable. In fact, I think that like Lost is alive. I really do. It's just, in fact, that's one of the chapters in my book. The book is called The Myth of Lost, Solving the Mysteries and Understanding the Wisdom. And I put the elusive invisible monster, which we come to find out is a smoke monster, on the cover. And I hid little images in there because Lost fans, as we all know, love discovering little hidden images. It was only when I was retelling the story that I realized that she first came up to me saying, "You look lost." That's always like a confirmation from the universe. It's usually saying, here's a little hint, now something's coming, paying attention to it. And it happens in our lives. We just have to pay attention to it. What happens? The party didn't end up happening until October 11th. You guys remember October 11th? That was that 70-degree sunny day that we had. The following day, it dropped like 40 degrees. The universe can make anything it wants happen, and you just have to believe in it. And I really focused on having a nice day that day, and that's what happened. So it was just kind of a message for me, and I think to everyone, that no matter what the world is throwing at you, it can all work out. You just kind of have to believe it. One of my favorite episodes basically features this character, Hurley. He's this larger-than-life, funny trickster character. He's now on the island and he's wandering through the woods and he happens to see this totally dilapidated Dharma, well it's actually a Volkswagen Beetle van that's just stuck there. And he decides he's going to get this thing started. So, he believes it's going to start, even though it's 30 years old and it's been rusting away. He sees a lucky rabbit's foot keychain, he turns the keychain and sure enough, it does not start. So those of us watching the show are like, what's going on? The whole message of Lost is that if you believe in something, you can make it happen. That is really not the full message of what Lost is about. What he ends up doing is he recruits a friend of his, so they push to the top of a very steep hill, and just so happens that there are these very steep, jagged rocks that are at the bottom of the hill, so they really need to turn it. Just as they're about to hit the rocks, Hurley turns the ignition, the van is able to swerve just in the nick of time. So everything worked out okay. So what's the message that the show is telling us? That it's not just that you have to believe, it's that you have to take a leap of faith. And this is a theme that comes up in so many different stories and even in the Bible. And the idea is that, the reason it's not enough to believe is because if you really believed in something, if you really believed you're going to act on it, because you so believe it's going to happen. If you say that, I believe, if you hate your job, for example, and you believe you're going to get another job, okay, if you're just doing the same thing that you've always done, if you're not putting any new energy into it, you really don't believe it. So that's the reality that you're basically setting up. You have to act as though what you believe has already happened, okay? And that's the message that we're getting from that particular episode. Every episode has a different message. And the metaphor is the law of attraction. This is a very popular theme today that's been showing up in books like The Secret, for those of you that have read that, have seen the movie. And the idea, I'll save you the time right now, is the whole idea is that whatever your mind is at, wherever you think, you attract that energy into your life. Now, a lot of people were kind of offended or annoyed by The Secret books because they felt that this is magical thinking and it's ridiculous and it doesn't make any sense. But there actually is a science behind it, depending on how you look at it. A lot of theoretical scientists today, they're looking at time like it's an illusion. That anything that ever has happened, could happen, will happen, would happen, is actually happening right at this moment. There's an infinite number of versions of this moment happening right now. But wherever your mind is, that whatever you're noticing, that's the reality you jump into. So if you're waking up in a bad mood, let's say there's a lot of people, I see, I commute on the subway every day, and people read the newspaper, and the newspaper is generally negative, saying how crappy everything is. So you're starting your day off with crap, and then you have a crappy day because you put your mindset there, you know. But what's the purpose of praying? When we go to sleep at night, you're supposed to pray, like because you're supposed to be grateful. If you're grateful for the things that are happening, like you're going to move into that kind of grateful area. And scientists have actually proved this. They on a molecular level, they have noticed that you cannot measure the velocity and the position of a subatomic particle at the same time. As soon as you notice one, the other changes. We're all based upon the subatomic level. And to be able to say that maybe our world works similarly, that wherever your mind is, that's where you go. Whatever your issue is, whatever it is, will follow you your whole life until you are proactive about it. And on the show, there's an episode with Charlie, that rock star character, and he happens to be a heroin addict. So isn't it strange that he happens to show up on the island, metaphor for the world we live in, and there was a plane that crashed, and the plane had all these heroin-filled Mother Teresa statues in it. So Locke tries to help him out. He tries to get him to get off the drugs. He tells him all these great stories. He finally is able to, but then the universe tempts him again, and the island tempts him again. He keeps tempting him until finally he can throw that statue in the water, and he doesn't have to worry about it anymore. And that's when the tests stop, and that's the lesson for all of us too. Lost has tricked us into learning science. There were so many fans out there, they didn't realize that it was going to be a sci-fi show, and they got sucked in. It's like the universe wanted us to learn it. And it was also Deep Impact, another movie about an asteroid that was in Europe. Does anyone remember who the president was in Deep Impact? Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman. It was a black president. Is that movie kind of telling us something? Same thing with 24, also a black president. I think Jon Stewart said it best during the Academy Awards when he said that if you have a black president or a female president, you better watch out because there's an asteroid heading through the Statue of Liberty. It's not even a joke though. I mean, he's into it, but it's true. We are now officially in the future, people. We are in the future right now. We have a black president. We have basically phones that we can take pictures with and talk to, you know, put on your waist, and it's just like Dick Tracy. We have those gizmos like in Minority Report. Boy, it seemed so futuristic 5 years ago when he was able to go on the board and like move things around with his hand. There's bars in New York City where you can order your drinks on the table. We are in the future. We are even further ahead of where the Jetsons imagined. What was the most that, you know, the brilliant minds of the 60s with the Jetsons, what was the most they could possibly imagine how mail would be delivered? Through pneumatic tubes. They didn't even think that we could deliver mail electronically. This is the future. Now what happens in the future? Crazy shit happens in the future. I'm just telling you all to get ready, because just be prepared. An ordinary person that's going to change the world. It's us that's going to change the world. Because we are the change that we've been waiting for. You know, that's the whole Obama message. You know, that we are the ones that are going to make a difference. There's nobody coming. There's no superhero coming. You are the superhero. Everyone here, you are the superheroes in your own life. And that's the point that I want to make. Notice how everyone's getting busted. All these politicians are getting busted. People can't get away with things anymore. Everything that is, and the interesting thing about it is, it's all the things that we don't want to be are getting punished. And all the things we do want to be are getting rewarded. So the Bernie Madoffs of the world, the people that took the banks are all collapsing. You know, the oil companies, I just read something that Exxon might now all of a sudden be in trouble. The big three car companies, you know that the car companies destroy the railroads? They formulaically destroy the railroads because they wanted people to use gas-guzzling vehicles. Now they shall be punished. They will all be punished. They're going to go down, the big three, because they weren't using, you know, environmentally friendly materials. And what is being rewarded, all these, you know, green industries, and that's where we want to be. That's where we want to be going. So is it just a coincidence that the universe happened to set it up in such a way that all these big, bad, negative, materialistic things are being punished, and all these things that are more about family and love and environment and respect are being rewarded? How could you make such a thing happen? But it just did. If you're sticking to the material world, this illusionary world, this nothingness, nothing is what you're going to have. Okay, so the whole idea is, you know, go with the heart of the more challenging path, the person you know who you really are, and I promise you, you're going to be rewarded. You know, we're now starting to get together and do something, but we couldn't do it before because we were too busy working and focusing on money. But now that we have all this free time, we can actually make the changes that we want. This is a blessing in disguise, everybody. And that's really all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will take questions if anybody has any.